Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Ginger, and I am back with loads of updates, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We gonna talk about it all.
They're not ginger, you ginger yourself. Nobody clap for yourself.
So I'm officially 8 months in my journey, and it's been that. It's literally been a journey. It's been a lot of ups and downs. But I wasn't going to come back because a couple months into me installing my locks, I ran into some trouble. That I did not know how to fix, and I sought out information. I couldn't find anything. I even considered going to a loctician to help me. As an ex-hairstylist myself, I don't really like to work over other people's work, if that makes sense. I didn't want to go add my hair problems to a loctician that did not start the foundation of my locks. The line of demarcation for majority of my locks was crazy. Like, you can see where my new growth was and where the beginning of my locks started, where the extensions were put in. Like, okay, so it's cute now. I can flash it around, put it in a bun, put it in all these different styles. But then when it comes down to it and my hair is growing out, the health of my hair is in jeopardy. I don't want to cut my hair. I love the freedom that I have with waking up in the morning, taking my bonnet off, literally spraying a few spritz of water everywhere, and I'm done. I'm going to show you guys what I did.
Okay, so as you guys can see, this lock had already been combined at the root since my last retie. And because I was so eager to see if this method would actually save my locks, I jumped the gun and snipped away the excess hair. But I never actually went in with my tool to combine the two strands. I'm just not doing that for the first time. So at first I tried to combine the two strands together with just my 3-prong tool, but I found that they weren't really sticking together, so I had to add the tiniest bit of the human hair that I used to start my locks, and that basically acted like a glue, and then I would palm roll, and then I'll be done. However, sometimes as I'm trying to retie my roots, they'll basically roll back like you guys just saw, and I'll have to pause, go back in with my tools to make sure that they're combined properly. So this is an example of one that I actually chose not to combine because I felt like it had a good base, even though the body of the lock was a little thicker than I would like. Palm rolling is a total game changer. I have seen such a huge difference in the texture and appearance of my locks since I've been incorporating this in my retie routines. Here is another one that I decided not to combine at the root. If I'm being honest, I just don't want to have a drastic change in the density of my locks, so I was just trying to spare where I could. And my plan is to go back in at a later date with my crochet needle to kind of contain the frizz so that my lock can look a little bit more cohesive. I don't know if it's because I was high on hope that I'd be able to fix what was going on with my locks, but I really enjoyed this retie process for some reason. It definitely should have took me a longer time to finish because I was reconstructing the foundation of majority of my locks, especially at the front half of my head, but there was so much grace for this retie process. So this is one that I combined on my last retie, but I did not cut the excess hair away. I started realizing that by cutting away the extra strand of hair, I was limiting the amount of versatility I would have for styling my hair until I actually went back in and combined those extra strands of hair. Another thing I realized as I was going through this combining process was that most of the areas that I needed to combine was along the perimeter of my head. And it makes sense to me now because the hair along the perimeter of our heads is naturally thinner than that of the middle of our heads. So these pre-sectioned pieces of human hair that I was adding in, just for extra body and length, it was way too much for the perimeter of my hair. Now, if you thought I was being dramatic before, I'm sure you can see now why I had to combine some of these locks. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This looks crazy. And I'm not sure if ultimately it would have just grown out and fell out and I would just end up with like a bald spot or something. But yeah, your girl had to do something, and fast. And again, I'm just adding the smallest bit of human hair to that line of demarcation. Then I'm going in with my tool to get it nice and combined. Then I'm going to palm roll it, and then it's on to the next lock.
I'm going to give you guys a real look at just where we are.
Other than losing some of the density of my locks, I am quite disappointed with my middle part now. I'm going to insert a picture of what it looked like in the beginning.
I didn't spray water. As soon as I woke up this morning, I kind of just put it up. It wasn't dry, and I don't feel like it's super dry like what it can be. Yeah, I can hear a little bit, so I'm going to spray her, get her a little hydrated. See? I got a little piece of that coming out there, but that's an easy fix. I'm not necessarily worried right now. You know, I could get in there and fix that. And if it's doing that anywhere else in my hair, I can kind of jump back in on my next retie. My biggest thing is that everything is combined at the root. I've been seeing pictures on Pinterest of different lock stages and they're all so gorgeous. It kind of makes me wish that I did go that route and just was a little bit more patient with my hair and allowed it to kind of do what it naturally wants to do. It wants to lock, right? But I didn't go that route. I wanted the big, I wanted the full, I wanted the volume. Somewhere along the road, I started realizing that my locks are not growing out properly. It's one of two things. I either added a little bit too much extra hair in my hair, or while I was twisting, I think I might have loosened my grip a little bit, and that's kind of why I have some locks like these are kind of maintained, because I went through with my tool and did what I needed to do to kind of like contain the frizz. But I have some like this one that's like really frizzy, and these are not hard fixes, but some of my locks really started looking like puff Cheetos. My new growth was too thin compared to the body of my lock, so I had to combine them. Same thing you would do to somebody who has traditional locks. I'm not sure if they do that in the sister lock community, but you know, combine them. I know in my first video I mentioned that I wanted my lock count to be around 400, and I got really close. I was at 360 something. When the time comes for me to cut all these extra strands away, we're probably going to be around half of that, or a little bit more than half, because I didn't do every single lock, and I'm all right with that. I'm all right with transitioning. I'm all right with having the pivot. I thank God that I was able to find a way to reconstruct the roots of my locks without having to undo anything, take anything down. I'm very happy with them, and I think they're still very beautiful. It took some extra work, but it was worth it.
Wait, you came true for yourself. Hey, you can't car by yourself. Oh yeah, appreciate yourself. Oh yeah, now say I tell you for yourself.